beat him up, okay?
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
What is up, everybody? Let's look at all those wonderful faces. Hey, Chanty and Brad. How's it going, everybody?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Awesome.
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
excellent. I'm trying a new microphone setup. Hope you can hear me. Everybody in the chat, look at little Dax. That's a Star Wars name if I heard one, if I ever heard one. Brad, you surprised us. You are here live on Scarif Live.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing?
Well, the Camino came and went.
Yeah, right.
Supposed to come again, I guess. But we're good. We're all good here. How are you?
Boring conversation anyway.
Sweet jacket, Rogue.
Oh, thank you. Got my Rogue One, my Cassian Andor jacket. And I said that I was going to dig it out, and Melanie encouraged me to bring it out. I'm going to do the Luthen hood move. Ready?
Again?
Ready?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. Well, I did it before we went on air, but I'm going to do it for our friends. So let's see if I do it as as good as Luthen did it. Ready?
Go.
Here we go. I need some like background music or some dramatic music. So anybody? No?
Yeah, you can dub it later.
All right. Wow. that was rough. Ouch. Yeah.
That was more Han.
No,
on
you
off,
need
I
to
think.
do his Miss Universe wave.
Oh yeah.
Miss you. Oh yeah. There you go. Excellent.
So
All right. Welcome everybody to the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast. If you are new to the show, thank you very much for joining us and finding us. We have a great lineup tonight. We, as you can tell by the on-screen graphics, we are going to be talking about episode 4 from the new Disney Plus show called Andor. Right?
Yep.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What is the name of the title of this episode? Is called Aldani, and that is reference to the lowlands or the highlands of Scotland planet, right? Something like that. Who do we have in the chat? And we also have a very special guest joining us. That I have a very special question ready for him. And only he can answer it because we'll get to it. But who do we have in the chat? Our friends, Tina, we got Dale in the chat, Melanie, our wonderful patron, Hectolorian, and let's see, GeForce Racing, Lunar Girl, as always. And before I forget, we put up the patron site that is pinned to the chat. If you guys are so inclined to become a patron, just like our wonderful patrons that support our channel, helps us keep the light on and helps us, do all these wonderful live shows that we do. And it also encourages us to be the best that we can here at the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast to bring you the best content on the interwebs. Thank you so much for considering becoming a patron. Any amount will do, and we'll send you some cool swag. One of the things that I love to do is put things in a box and send them out to our friends. So we like to do a lot of that stuff. But let's see
when he's not
here.
pissing people off and offending people on Twitter.
Oh my God. Do I do that? Do I offend people on Twitter? All
Just for
right.
the record, guys, I used to do most of the posting from the Scarif account. You can send all your hate mail towards Ro, as he does mostly tweeting from the Scarif account. So it's not me. So don't send that shit my way.
That's actually pretty funny. You know
And
what?
I have no access, which is smart.
Brad, I learned from the best.
You did.
Oh man.
I
But
stopped trolling. It's just too easy nowadays.
it is
I
too
know.
easy.
Too
It is too
easy.
Like
easy.
shooting fish in a barrel.
And obviously, we are we kind of tongue in cheek a lot of stuff here on the internet because you just can't take any of this seriously. We're talking about space fairies and laser swords and things like that. But absolutely. So Aldani, episode 4 of Andor. We're gonna bring in our special guest, Stephen Kent, and I do have a very special question for him. And one of the biggest reasons I have this question specifically for him, let's bring him in and say hello first of all. Mr. Stephen Kent, how you doing?
Hey, doing all right.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, it's another great week for Star Wars.
It certainly is. We'll get to the nitty gritty, but I do have a question, and obviously because of your experience in the world of politics and saving the galaxy with the Force and things like that, and all your experience,
We're fixing it.
fixing
It
it. We are
can't- it
fixing
can't-
it.
Can't be saved.
I can't.
That's a fact.
Fixing is what Han Solo and Chewbacca do. They put band-aids on things, use duct tape to put everything back together, but is it gonna hold?
Exactly. We'll see. But because of your experience and all that stuff, and beltways and banthas and Washington and all that wonderful stuff, and this obviously this show is really kicking ass as far as the Star Wars community is going. We've got a brand new
Kicking ass. That is
kicking
that's
ass,
very
man.
well. That's very Andor language.
There you go.
That you're using right there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the shit.
It's the shit. Andor is the shit. But I do have a serious question for you because of your background, because of your experience. Out of all the characters, out of all the new characters, or also the legacy characters or the characters that we know on Andor, a very special question for you because of your background. Who would you ship?
Which two characters in Andor?
Which two characters in Andor would you ship? Inquiring minds want to know.
So I don't. You're gonna have to help me with character names. So the angry rent-a-cop. So he's our lead character from the security forces, right?
The one that actually said shit, or his boss?
Well,
the deputy inspector.
The overly ambitious one, the lieutenant.
Oh, okay, Karn. Yeah.
Karn. So it'd have to be Karn, and it would have to be homoerotic. So Andor.
It's gonna happen. You heard it here first.
Bravo.
Exactly.
I mean, because like when Cassian got away at the end, he had this like look of abject horror, but also I think he was really, really, he liked it.
That's too funny.
The whole experience.
Oh, and I saw some of your posts earlier. Your Yoda statuette behind you. It looks really fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I put in some serious work on this bad boy.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, I am. I'm working on making a couple more and selling them. So,
well,
I can tell you tonight where to get them.
DM us. I'm very interested. Yeah. I saw that and I'm like, oh my God, that looks really nice.
It's really pretty.
Last week, Brad had that question of trying to rate the first 3 episodes. We had a nice little thread of 3 episodes, that arc that we were treated to on the premiere. We only got 1 episode, and it almost seems unfair to give a star rating on just a single episode because obviously, I feel it was a little truncated, a little. It stopped at a point where I think most of us wanted more, but let's go around the table and give our star review, 1 out of 10 stars, as we did it last week. Let me start with you, Steve.
Okay, yeah. So kind of like right now, I'm at a 7, and that's not bad. Like 7 is a a great score for anything. You're well above 5. I think I haven't fallen in love with it yet. They've done all this sort of stage setting, and episode 4 was the first time we actually saw Star Warsy things.
Mm-hmm.
The Imperial core, the Empire, Imperial uniforms. We still haven't even seen a stormtrooper yet. So not that I care about that, but like it is those kinds of things that let you know, like, hey, you're watching a Star Wars thing. And these first 3 episodes were incredibly restrained and disciplined and actually dedicated to taking people to a part of the galaxy where the Empire and the Rebellion is not top of mind for everyone. And I love it. But I'm not in love with the show yet. So I'm at a 7, and we're headed in a really good direction. So.
Excellent. Yeah. The good points. Chanty, what about you? This last
10,
episode. 10? Oh, wow. Why
I
10?
really loved, I don't know. I just really loved because I was so sucked in and I just was fully engaged with this one and just kind of some of the surprises. And there was one thing in particular, kind of like what Stephen was saying, like, I know everyone is waiting to see, more Imperial stuff in Empire. People keep on commenting that we haven't seen a Stormtrooper yet. But you know what? I kind of like that because absence makes the heart grow fonder. So in this episode, when Andor was like, get down, because he could hear the TIE fighter coming, and you hear the noise and you finally see it fly over, that got me so excited because it was just that little taste, and I was like a TIE fighter. So I kind of like that it's not right in our face right now. It actually just makes it more thrilling and exciting when you finally do see it. So and then of course Luthen, and I mean, this episode was just absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Brad, what about you?
So I never rewatched the first 3 episodes. I had to rewatch this episode because I thought it was that good. I loved it. And just about everything that I didn't like, I commented on last week about the first 3 episodes was negated by this episode.
Okay.
I'm not going to give it a 10 because, I like to leave room for an improvement. And I honestly don't think it was a 10 either. But I said, 6 last week?
7.
I think you said 7.
Maybe, okay, 7. Maybe I was thinking 6, and I gave it a 7. But I'm going to go solid 8.5 on this one, and I really like the direction that it's going in.
Nice.
Absolutely. Last week I gave it a 9.5. I think it was pretty. The first 3 episodes, because of the long story arc and because of all the stories that they were telling between the current story thread with Andor and his flashbacks. I think they tied up fairly well. So I gave it a pretty high rating because of that. I mentioned that this episode, when it ended abruptly, and I really wanted more because obviously they're going through their training and they're getting ready for this mission. And obviously, next week we're going to see it. But I think I might be with Steven as far as a 7, but I do get excited when Chanty gave it a 10. So I'm going to move mine up to like an 8.362, if that's allowed.
Are you the Russian judge?
Yeah. So, I'm seeing a lot of comments from folks on the internet, and as with any Star Wars, it's like all over the place. But I think mostly I've seen some very positive feedback on the show. And I know one of the things that people complain about, or not complain, but one of the things that people talk about, let's keep this positive, is the fact that it's not, like Steven said, it's not Star Warsy. And I know a lot of people kind of want to see a little bit more Star Wars in a Star Wars, but I find this series so different and so incredibly well made that type of thing doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put up this double comment on here that kind of illustrates that, but I want to talk about that. What makes a Star Wars a Star Wars? And we've got One of our followers, Alfie Molinaro, not just great Star Wars series, but great show on its own. Definitely the best Star Wars series so far. This show has a story to tell, not just a means of getting two characters together at the end. The visuals, dialogue, etc., are amazing. A lesson in taking your time, and I totally agree with that. The second follower here, Ed Scaife, hello there. As a fan, I can say that I'm thoroughly enjoying this new story unfold. I'm not one to delve too deep into Star Wars lore, so I never have extensive knowledge of all the characters beyond what I see and hear. It's an exciting new chapter. Hashtag Red 5. Thank you very much for the hashtag. Obviously, we are part of the Red 5 network, and thank you so much. But I guess some people are very surprised at the fact that, this is not, you don't see stormtroopers. You get excited just to hear a TIE fighter. This is the outskirts of where the Empire is really not really entrenched in society, and you're seeing other people's problems. Is that a problem for a Star Wars structured like this? What do you guys think?
It's definitely not a problem. There is so much Star Wars at this point on the sort of a la carte, menu option. Like this is just another offering for all of those sort of deep lore nerds who have always wanted to see more of what everyday life is like in the Star Wars galaxy. Like that's for a certain kind of fan, and it clearly, based on the tone of the show, it's going to be for older fans who want to see what is Star Wars like if you Game of Thronesify it a little bit. But in terms of the vibe, like what makes it Star Wars, I think it has to be this sort of simmering spirituality element to it. There has to be like a form of mysticism in what people feel as Star Wars. For example, Rogue One had the Kyber crystal necklace. You had, Jen kind of, learning and wanting to say like, may the force be with us by the end of the movie. You had Chirrut Îmwe and that awesome relationship and those spiritual monks. So like even in Rogue One, you had that. In this, what's going to make it Star Warsy? I have no idea, besides probably just, tossing hand grenades at stormtroopers. And that's great. Like it's going to be a different vibe.
Brad, you always have something to say.
I think, and we started to see hints of it in this episode, which is that, the omnipresence of the Empire, right? We already talked about that. Just that, not even 2 seconds of TIE fighters flying over. That was almost scary. The seeing and feeling those TIE fighters fly over for that 1 second. So the omnipresence of the Empire and that general feeling of futility from the rebellion, like going back to Rogue One, they didn't want to send anybody to Scarif because they're like, these guys have weapons of mass destruction. We don't. And you're feeling that sense of futility from, Mon Mothma, and they're name dropping already in this one. For the who was it, Ed, that said he wasn't too deep into the lore, that gave us that comment. She mentions Sly Moore was one of was going to be one of the dinner guests, and I'm not sure if it's still a thing, but at least on the old Star Wars data bank, I think it was called, Sly Moore's works directly for the Emperor and has psychic abilities, which is why the Emperor kept Sly around. So her having dinner, and you might hear rumors or might get the feeling that this person has extra abilities. For her to have a dinner party with somebody with psychic abilities and she's trying to start a rebellion, well, that's going to scare the shit out of you to have that person at your dinner table.
Yeah.
So starting to feel like, and of course we know that Saul's going to be in this, but just the that overwhelming feeling that they must have had trying to take on the Empire. So I don't think I'm not sure about the mysticism in this, but this is more along what I like to see, which is the wars aspect of Star Wars. So, and then obviously the politics, and we already saw the infighting at the ISB and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, and the idea of like military contractors, for the real world, right? Like the United States as an empire doesn't deploy only its soldiers to deal with its problems, and it doesn't just fill its military bases with Marines. There's a robust culture out there of military contractors and mercenaries, and there's a great story to be told there with the galaxy is too big just for stormtroopers. And so you contract security forces, and if they lose control, then you send in the real empire.
Right.
And that guy Karn, like his boss, he was a slacker, but he was right. You turn in good reports to keep the empire out. But Karn is an imperialist. So
yeah. I see Karn's character almost. I think he's on the fence. I mean, he was chased back home to mommy.
He's a bootlicker. He's
totally
heading back to mom's basement to do whatever, probably start a podcast or something. But,
a YouTube show.
A YouTube channel. But it's interesting because he's definitely thinking about stuff, and I almost feel like he's thinking of the futility of being so by the book, especially when it comes to the loyalty of his corporation, because they weren't loyal back. And I'm wondering if his arc will be that he joins the or he becomes imperial, or he becomes an imperial sympathizer, and then that doesn't work either, and he gets broken even more, which will bring him into the rebellion, and he turns into a rebel at that point. So he's an interesting character. I think out of all the new characters, I think I'm very interested to see where he turns out.
I mean, he knew what the ramifications were going to be. I still maintain that on some level. I think he wanted the Empire to take over at that point.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing if that ends up panning out. And I did love when he went back to his mom, slapped across the face and then a hug. I was like, I felt like we were like in New York or something. It was like Brooklyn. Oh God.
I was listening to Rebel Force Radio, and they were talking about, somebody had mentioned the symbolism of him getting in the elevator and going down. And he was, I guess, that symbolizes his character being, not the top tiered echelon, citizen, that he was kind of just a recruit, and not that he was brainwashed or anything, but so it's interesting to kind of see that where he goes back down, and I'm wondering if he's going to be starting from scratch, like mentally, ideology wise, to kind of re-examine where he's at in his career at this point.
I think he's about to go. I think he's about to go into the deep end. Yeah.
I don't know if it was Tina or Melanie, because the three of us were having a conversation. There's a thread somewhere on Twitter where we were saying that we're wondering if him and crazy-eyed blonde lady, if he's going to end up working for her. I'm sorry, she has nutty eyes.
Yeah.
So we were wondering maybe. Yeah, there you go.
Played by Denise Go.
No, I definitely think he's going to go work for her, because he's a true believer,
right?
And you were talking about sort of his like going back down, like eco-socioeconomic status. So he's like going back down to his old life, going back down to the slums of his world. And Star Wars Propaganda, the book by Pablo Hidalgo, talks a lot about how the Empire was a vehicle for people to rise up out of poor stations in life, bad neighborhoods. And I think he's definitely one of those people who looked at the Empire as the rise of order and an opportunity. So I think he's about to get even more radical now that rebels have disrupted his career. And I think he wants to go work for another true believer, which would be Miro and the actual Empire, not the rent-a-cops.
Makes sense.
Right. Speaking of ISB, what do you guys think of Major Partagaz?
I love those scenes, and what you see, if you look at the, just the scenery, first of all, the juxtaposition of, vibrant colors across the universe. And then you get into this Imperial office and it's all white and they're all wearing the white uniforms, very sterile almost a hospital feel to it, lifeless as compared to the rest of the galaxy. And you're talking about it's on Coruscant now, so the heart of the galaxy, as it were, is lifeless. So that's very symbolic there. But what I like about that is he's very old school in his methods, or in his beliefs, I should say, and they're at the point where they feel that they're untouchable. He doesn't want to go chasing every single lead that they have. And, he wants verified data and stuff like that, not just gut feelings and stuff like that.
Right.
But I love the infighting that you see there, all the power grabs within the Empire. But just the fact that the Empire feels like they're untouchable it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And he has a conversation with Miro regarding, after they had that little three-way conversation, and then that one officer left, and he basically told her, you're doing a good job, and that's one of the reasons that people like you were brought in.
Yeah.
I was reading somewhere, obviously when we first see the Empire, they were very xenophobic. There were hardly any aliens in the ranks. Obviously, there were no women. They started to bring women in, and I think this might be a reference to that, that notion that the Empire is opening itself up. Maybe too little, too late.
I don't think that technically is, though.
Okay.
Like it is in real world casting. It's opened up.
Sure.
But the way that Star Wars lore has been structured for decades now is that we have plenty of stories of female officers in all parts of the timeline. It's just kind of it's a fact of the 70s and the 80s that there just weren't any women in the movies, but there have always been women in the Empire. They didn't discriminate. So it's kind of us transplanting our problems onto Star Wars. They don't have our problems.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's how I feel with the whole stormtroopers can't shoot. It was just it was kind of like plot armor back then.
Right.
And then we took it and brought it into the universe where it's kind of like an annoying thing for me. I wanted to put up another screenshot of something that I saw earlier, and I wanted to get your guys' take on it because, we are kind of talking about how some people feel that Andor is boring. So this, where did I get this from? Space.com. Andor is intelligent, enthralling sci-fi that should make other studios take note. I'm going to start with Brad on this. What do you guys think of that comment?
I think this is going to be the bar. I can tell you, unfortunately, I won't be able to see the rest of the series till December, but I'm already looking forward to binging it in December. I think if it stays on track, on par with what it is doing right now, I think it is going to be the bar for Star Wars. And again, I don't say that as fanboy or shill. We already had that episode a couple weeks ago. We've been openly critical about plenty of Star Wars material. I think this is much more engaging than what The Mandalorian was. And I'm going to put it out there, and I'll say that Andor greater than Mandalorian. I think I'm going to make a prediction on that.
I agree. I've been saying that from day one.
I mean, controversial.
Seeing the trailers of what's to come, we see some of the space battles and some of the action that's to come based off the story so far, and then you introduce those action elements. I think this is going to be much more engaging. Like, we can only take so much random bounty, babysit the kid, babysit the kid, don't get the kid hurt, another bounty. I can only take that formula so many times. Yes, it was beautiful and it's a fun show, but as far as rewatchability, I will probably rewatch Andor I still haven't rewatched Mandalorian ever. I will definitely probably rewatch Andor as soon as I can. So yeah, I think by the time it's all said and done, it'll be better material than The Mandalorian, and obviously Boba Fett as well.
Yeah, we had our issues with some of the other Star Wars shows, but yeah, I've been saying that Andor is going to be the gold standard for Star Wars streaming going forward, because it is just it's so different and so serious in tone. And like Brad said, I mean, little Grogu was cute for like the first 2 minutes, but let's move on now.
I think this is the tension of Star Wars generationally is
Sure.
there's always the debate of who is Star Wars for? Is it for kids or is it for adults? Well, in the new era, again, there's something for everybody. I'm not going to watch this show again with my family. Probably, I will watch it alone. And that's the big difference. Is like this is not a show that I think with your 7 or 10-year-old, like you're going to watch more than this one time. And I think we're both enjoying it, me and my 11-year-old. But The Mandalorian is more fun. The Mandalorian is something that you watch as a family. So different things, it's just for a different cut of the audience.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and obviously, since Star Wars has been around for so long, we've got so much media now that you can pick and choose based on who you are and what you like. But yeah, I mean,
life,
right. But yeah, it's interesting. But as far as something that studios should pay attention to. I mean, Chanty, what do you think about that? We talk about movies all the time and how things are going in the movie business, but as far as studios, do you think like even the other Star Wars creatives are like taking a look at some of the reactions that the fans are giving Andor and saying, wait, hold on a second, what's going on? What are they doing that we're not?
Should. Yeah, I mean, I think we should, and we've already kind of discussed this, that at least on my end, I am not, again, it could be what I follow on Twitter and what I engage with, but I'm really not seeing the normal battling that's going on between Star Wars fans for this show like we've seen with other ones. We've seen a lot of back and forth with Kenobi. We saw definitely a ton of back and forth with Book of Boba Fett, on both sides of the extreme. This one, I feel like I'm really not getting any discord on this one. So there's something to be said about that, and I think they should be paying attention. And again, I love you, Techie, but TV is where it's at right now. Throw that movie budget. You've got someone like Stellan Skarsgård, who is a seasoned actor, coming in and willing to be in a Star Wars project. So clearly you can go that route. And we talked about this on Spaces. I think Game of Thrones really proved that, if you throw these budgets at these TV shows, you can really, really, really create something absolutely beautiful and cinematic for TV. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, more and more people are heavy into the streaming. And as much as I would hate to see movie theaters shut down, right now, we're in a second golden age of TV, and people want that great production value, and they want that kind of thought being put into a TV show now. We just don't want something mindless and some mindless drivel. I want something intelligent. That's why I'm enthralled with this. Sure. And we talked about it. I loved the politics of the prequels. I like knowing what makes things tick and how intricate things have been, all the backstory and the underbelly of everything. So that's why for me, this is perfect. This really is like the born identity of Star Wars. And it's not going to be action every 2 seconds. So
sure. Yeah, that's the thing. It's
there has to be
it's not going to be action.
No,
right. Yeah.
How else do you infiltrate without, you can't be making a ruckus. So you got to treat it like you're in the CIA. Think of it like a CIA type of thing. It's got to have that intrigue and mystery. And
yeah, it definitely plays like an HBO, spy drama. Very, like I mentioned, very serious tone. Stephen, you were commenting on Dragon Buddies.
Yeah, I think Dragon Buddies comment that steering away from legacy characters is always the better way to go is right. You're gonna get less gnashing of teeth and less argument when you're not violating sacred territory. The only legacy character we're dealing with here is Mon Mothma, and she's uncharted territory.
Sure.
Yes.
True. She has almost no on-screen legacy, and I'm not counting the animated shows. So like there's nothing to ruin necessarily. So like it's great. And that's always safer for Star Wars and better.
Agree wholeheartedly.
I'm going to put up a comment from GeForce Racing 20 that I find interesting. And hello, and thank you for joining us. But I wanted to talk about it because I want to maybe see if you guys have a take. I can't put my finger on it, but there is something cinematically different about Andor that takes me out of the story.
Oh, interesting.
Cursing.
Well, yeah, besides cursing, for sure. And we talked about that, but I find it completely the opposite. I think there is something cinematically different about Andor that pulls me in so deep that I forget about everything else. I am like there. And I had posted earlier in the week that I don't think Star Wars fans have seen anything as cinematically rich visually in Star Wars for a long time, and this is it. What do you guys think?
I could see that. I mean, we kind of talked about it last week. I can definitely agree with that comment. I kind of said as much last week with the first 3 episodes. There were parts, with the brothel in the first episode and the bubble people on the street or whatever the hell that was.
Red light district.
The Star Wars red light district. So I can kind of see that, and I thought there was a transition in this last episode, in episode 4. And to GeForce, I think on this comment, I would just urge patience because, again, if you've seen the commercials or trailers for the the episodes that are to come, I think it's going to look much more Star Warsy as we get into the middle of the series and obviously towards the end. So I can definitely relate to that comment, but I think just hang in there and you'll get the full gambit when we're done with it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to let Stephen comment on that because that's a really great thing. I mean, this thing, I think it has such a scope. There are shots that stay on longer, and I've been asking for them since watching a lot of the Book of Boba Fett stuff. It's like you want to see more of the environment. You want to be able to kind of dive deep in. But what do you think about that comment, Stephen? And I know we're going to cut it short for you. But I wanted to give you a final opportunity to chime in here.
Yeah, about like the something about the show that like you can't put your finger on about whether or not it keeps you in. I would also say like I can't articulate it and I can't put my finger on it, but there is something so alien about it as a Star Wars property that I am sitting there thinking a lot about it. So, when you pop on The Mandalorian, I think, for example, you immediately like the Star Wars part of your brain is lit up. You know exactly what you're watching and it feels completely familiar yet new. Andor, because particularly with these first 3 episodes out in the middle of the mid to outer rim and no touch of the Empire, you were kind of sitting there like thinking about it the whole time. What am I watching? When am I going to see a clone trooper? When am I going to see something? And so therefore I was in my world and I was in my head and I wasn't lost in the galaxy far, far away. So I think that's maybe the reason why, because it's just so fresh. But I think that's going to decline the deeper you go into this show. And the more you're surrounded by the Senate, alien creatures, stormtroopers, and Andor infiltrating a facility where he's gonna steal some Imperial payroll cash. So I think that first 3 episodes is maybe an outlier.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll see what happens as this rolls out. I know we are 4 episodes in. We're kind of at the halfway point. There's 12 episodes, or third way down the road. But
also,
Stephen, thank you.
Just on that, I'm going to make one more prediction here. I think that this whole job that they're doing right now is a diversion because they already called it. I think we're going to see some plot twists. Remember how we saw, even the rebellion intelligence, they had different ideas on what should happen.
Right.
I think that this, because they called it a suicide run because they're not going to make it very far. I think this might actually be a diversion to something else that the rebels are planning. So I think there might be some good plot twists there coming up.
It's not payroll.
No.
Right.
It's not money. Yeah. That's such a boring.
Really?
Such a boring.
That was such a cover.
You would assume that the Empire at this point has direct deposit, and they don't need to have cash
ACH,
just kind of laying
exactly.
around, right?
They definitely have central banking.
And
I can tell you
and
that.
it's paid bi-weekly.
It's not even behind blockchain technology. Come on,
Right,
give me a
exactly.
break. Y'all, I have to go early. I'm sorry I can't finish out the broadcast tonight.
No problem.
but
Thank you so
as
much.
always,
It was a pleasure,
Thank you,
always
Steve.
Stephen.
enjoying
It's a
you.
pleasure.
Have a good
Welcome
night.
anytime. Take care, Steve.
Bye.
He's the best.
Awesome.
Such a nice
Yeah,
person.
such a nice guy.
What? Stop it, Jax. What do you think of Andor? He loves it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant shit in the room. I mean, Joker Voice's comment here. Our friend Joker Voice, he says of Andor, he says it's pedestrian, inserting profanity, present day politics, implied sex scenes where it doesn't belong. This is not Star Wars. Rebels did it better, and get off my lawn. Brad, I would love to hear what you have to say.
Okay. All right.
Go.
Go, Joker, Joker Voice. Look at that.
All right.
Woo-hoo.
So I already posted something on Twitter about cursing. But again, let's talk about content and who's the target audience for this, right? This is not a kid show. This is at least PG-13 as far as a rating goes.
Mhm.
What do they? I don't know how Disney does. Disney do the mature thing? Do they give a rating? I'm not sure.
I can't
But
remember.
but
Yeah, I
anyway,
don't
yeah, I'm not even commenting on pedestrian because that couldn't be further from the truth.
From the I know.
But but as far as bad words, again, let's talk about target audience. And I will, if you were in a military, if you were in combat, you are going to curse in combat. Now, again, you can say that's not Star Wars, because they didn't do it in '77. But I think it's realistic, and I think they're going for realistic and gritty in this one. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't even catch the shit the first time until we talked about it. I didn't realize he said it. But anyway, as far as the real world politics, I disagree with that. We've talked many times. I don't like the insertion of what is clearly real world politics, into sci-fi and into fictional stories. And I'm not seeing that with this show. These issues of xenophobia, racism, that sort of thing, imperialism. I mean, they're literally imperials. So imperialism, we've talked about that since A New Hope. Sure. So those, I don't see anything that would indicate that they're inserting real world politics into this. What was the rest of it? Not
sex scenes, implied sex scenes.
Oh God. Whatever. Sorry.
I mean, it's
It happened
all about the
one
target
time.
audience. This is Disney making adult content.
Right.
If you want to watch Clone Wars and Rebels, and if that's what level you want to stay on, then stay on that level.
Mm-hmm.
Those of us who are now getting older want the mature storylines.
Absolutely.
Right.
I can't stay engaged with all the kiddie type storylines. I can't do it.
Same.
So was the shit necessary? No, but I don't think it took anything out of the scene whatsoever. He was reacting to what was going on.
Sure.
So, I mean, that may have not been in the script for him to say that, and they just kept it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's far from pedestrian, though.
Me too.
Yeah, absolutely. Heck DeLorean's got a great comment. This new Star Wars is for the boys with the big bolas. I agree.
Tina's comment is accurate. This oppression, relocating people. They have resources on that planet. Well, we need it more than you do. Oh, you have oil. So they kick them out of their homes.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, so you can't. If the actors or anybody on the crew has their own politics, sure, but I can differentiate that. I don't see it being inserted into the show. I mean, yes, if
And like
Diego feels that way, sure, but
yeah.
I don't see that, at least as of right now, being needlessly inserted into the show.
And like you said last week, if it's inserted, it's almost like surface level. They're not like shoving it down your throat. It's
No.
just, it is what it is. And Star Wars obviously has always had that sort of thing, embedded into its DNA. But I think it's done in a way, especially in Andor, that it fits the story. We're dealing with political intrigue and the start of the rebellion, an insurrection, over an empire. So
Right.
it fits.
It does.
Yeah. I want to do a quick shout out because you talked about kitty stuff, and I do want to commend Josh Sith Care Bear for going back and watching Resistance as we suggested for him to do last week. So thank you very much, Josh. Good
That's
kiss.
something I still haven't done. Good job, Josh.
Good job, Josh. Yes.
I've watched one episode and I couldn't do it. So
I had my son was of age, so we watched both seasons together. So I guess that's the only way you can do it. Somebody had mentioned, I guess, tail end of what we were talking about regarding the feel and look of this show. And I'm going to put up Melanie's post here regarding the sets. And I think the sets, obviously the location shooting has been phenomenal. Not shooting in the volume. And that's one of the things that kind of that was actually for me one of the things that drew me out of Book of Boba Fett, because it looked like a fan film to me.
Yeah.
Not so much with Kenobi. I think for the most part Kenobi looked better than Book of Boba Fett. But what drew me out of Kenobi was some of the storyline that just didn't make sense. But Andor really has, as we all stated, a very interesting and rich look and feel that obviously, I don't know, it's very different than what we're used to when it comes to Star Wars, because we're either on a ship, but we are getting to see regular people's environments. We have a wonderful scene with Mon Mothma in her dining room, a hallway when she comes back. She gets into her space Cadillac, which I thought was pretty cool.
Ro, I texted you. Well, after I almost spoiled the show for you because I couldn't wait to talk about it. But when they're making that trek across Aldhani, you get some serious, Afghanistan 1980s freedom fighter feel to that, because it's pretty much the same situation where you had the Afghani people, which is close to Aldhani, Afghani people fighting against the Russians, where you have a very, I'm not gonna say primitive, but they didn't have all the advanced technology that the Russians had. So that's very comparable, where you have the folks in Afghanistan trying to take on an invading empire. And I really got that feel from him I thought it was a great use of scenery, and as they were walking through, and like we said earlier, seeing those TIE fighters flying over.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
What the hell is Jax doing?
I don't know. Calm down. I agree 100% with Dave with that comment that he just made.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Revenge of the Sith doesn't get any worse than that.
Brad, you had me remind us that we should talk about.
Oh yeah, I told you something.
I'm
glad you said it, because I forgot what it was.
Said many things.
Yeah. Let's see. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh, the mention of Mimban.
Oh yeah. So we talked about staying away from legacy characters and stuff like that, but the way that they are name dropping on this is amazing, because it's not like gratuitous. But Mimban, now you've just tied this series to both the Clone Wars, the Clone Wars cartoon, the comic books from back in the day that were on the Min, but also Solo. Because when he got kicked out of the Imperial Flight Academy, those scenes that you see next where he meets Beckett, that's Minbin that they're fighting on. And as you know, now look at that conversation that they're having. They had you guys fighting each other. Look at that scene that they were in. You couldn't see shit in that scene. It was just gunfire everywhere. So now you've attached this movie to Solo as well, which is awesome. So now you've made the galaxy that much smaller. And they mentioned Ryloth. And that's obviously where the all the Twi'leks are from. That's where Hera Syndulla and her dad where they've been fighting. So they mentioned Ryloth. So I think they're doing a great job name dropping and making the politics and the war seem very real.
Yeah.
And they mentioned Scarif.
Come on, Brad.
So happy.
There you go.
And they mentioned, like we talked about, I hope this quote engineer from Coruscant, maybe it's Krennic, maybe it's Galen. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But
I would love that.
Before I forget, we Dragon Buddy mentioned Easter eggs. Those are all Easter eggs. My favorite, for anybody that caught it, was that when he had the sky blue kyber crystal, and that was from a Kawati, which Kawat itself is an Easter egg. Obviously, the folks on Kawat are the ones that make the Star Destroyers. But he talks about it was a symbol from when they fought the Rakatan Empire. Most people probably didn't catch what that meant or anything, but the Rakatans, if you played Star Wars The Old Republic or Knights of the Old Republic, that is that giant empire that was advanced beyond just about anything. So to mention something from Star Wars The Old Republic is just badass.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we got they just mentioning Rakatan what was awesome. They did a really good job on this one.
Yeah, they actually I think somebody had said that you won't get a lot of Easter eggs, but this last episode was
full
of
them.
Plenty.
You had the Star Killer suit in the background. There was a Mandalorian suit on the table in the foreground as well. And then somebody, I have yet to see it, but there are screenshots of some small carbonite units, and one of them has the whip from Indiana Jones encased in it.
I didn't even see the Star Killer.
Oh, I gotta go back and
rewatch it again.
Oh yeah. It's pretty prominently when they actually go back, when Luthen and Mon Mothma go in the back to talk like secret stuff.
Yeah,
they go right past it, and then the camera just holds for a few seconds longer and you see it. It's the suit, but it's got some extra like wings or crowns behind it. But nice. It's definitely the Star Killer suit. That's which awesome. Is interesting. When are we going to go back to Tatooine? I miss Tatooine. No, I don't.
No, I don't. No, I do not.
I don't mind Tatooine.
I don't either, but
I understand people's one more comment I'm going to put up here. Our follower, the Dogfather, is rewriting the rules of what can be done with the Star Wars franchise. My favorite of the TV shows so far, best since The Empire Strikes Back. Ooh. That is pretty heavy. That's pretty bold. Deep.
That's bold.
That is very bold. But you know what? I agree.
Whoa.
So
did you just say best Star Wars content since ESB? Is that what you just said?
That's what he said.
No, is that what you said?
What do you say? Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Because of my rose-colored glasses, and how I love The Empire Strikes Back, I would say yes. But obviously, Rogue One is fantastic. Clone Wars is equally fantastic. So, there's a caveat there.
I agree with DB best since Rogue One.
Yes.
Sure.
I'll go with that.
That's fine. Andrew, no, I don't. But I guess we're splitting hairs here. No, but I think it's great. I think
it's time to cancel Roe, Andrew.
Yeah, it's time to cancel me. Yeah. Let's see. What did I have another comment here? Yeah, no, our friend Tina.
Tina.
Set design, costume of the characters are phenomenal. Mon Mothma is gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
I love that she's back.
She's
I
such a great
love
actress as
that
well.
she's back. She's such a great actress. Yeah. Story is intriguing, and Stellan Skarsgård character Luthen definitely elevates the show. I would have to agree.
Oh, and they mentioned her home planet of Chandrilla as well.
Yeah.
Yes,
as
they
another.
did.
So that's amazing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the acting has just been phenomenal.
There you go.
The acting has just been absolutely phenomenal. I love it.
Brad, I am so sorry that you won't get to see the rest of this until you return.
Yeah, that's
that
it's
sucks.
It's already gonna be a long couple months, and that's gonna make it that much longer.
Yeah, but as soon as you get back, please text me, watch it,
Binge it.
definitely talk about it, and then looking forward to your return because I don't know, man. Like I said, I have a feeling that this is going to. I mean, it's already it's already a better flavor of Star Wars for me than a lot of the stuff that we gotten for various reasons. I really hope that come award time that this show does not get ignored.
It should.
There are
I agree.
a lot of great performances, and not only performances, but as we mentioned, the look and feel of this show. Years ago, when it was announced that the production designer for the HBO show that was called Chernobyl was coming to this show, I was super excited because I thought Chernobyl looked amazing. It had that gritty look to it. It had that, George Lucas always talks about the used universe, the used environment, and Chernobyl definitely had it. So when they said that the production designer and their team were coming to work on Star Wars, and obviously Rogue One was already a favorite of mine, I was really excited, and it shows. There are so many wonderfully detailed shots, and the color palette of this show is, although it's a little toned down, it's not as colorful of a palette as the Book of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett almost seemed cartoony, and I know a lot of people have equated the Book of Boba Fett as just a live action, Clone Wars or Rebels animation, which
I don't need anything to be like Boba Fett.
Yeah.
It feels like they literally filmed it at Disney World. That's what Book of Boba Fett felt like.
To me, the look and feel of this is Rogue One. We talked about that
very
ahead
much
of
Rogue
time.
One, which makes sense.
So
absolutely, yeah.
I would want it to be on par with that.
Absolutely, totally agree. All right, so this was a single episode. Episode 4. I think we've covered a couple of things that we talked about. Josh, thank you for joining us at the end here.
Oh, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Who do you think the most important person is that Mon Mothma is going to interact with on this show? You think there's going to be any legacy characters that she might interact with?
Yes.
I would say an easy one would be Bail.
Yeah, I would have to say Bail. I don't know who else it would be.
Man, could you imagine if she had a conversation with the Emperor? I'm just saying that would be freaking amazing.
You mean? Oh yeah.
I thought if there was just for a split second when she walked into her home. Could you imagine if the Emperor had turned the corner, as in he was just paying a senator a visit?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and then he'll go, pass the chips.
Oh boy! Oh, that would be epic.
While she's trying to light off a rebellion,
right?
I don't think it's going to happen, but
that
would be amazing.
That would be cool. Oh man!
I do think it's Bail though, because later on, obviously in Rogue One, they get together and they're in cahoots, secretly. She says, maybe your Jedi friend can help us out.
Yeah.
So that this is. This has to be kind of like the start of that relationship, that connection between the two. We know even from Kenobi, we know that that he's kind of working in the background. We see him at that little get together where I forgot who his
But just to see the Emperor talking to somebody not, not Vader, not Tarkin, but to see him interacting with just
somebody regular, yeah,
another politician, another senator, and to see like what effect he would have on
Right.
that person would be ridiculous.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, Steve says he thinks that Bale was already involved by this time. I think so. Yeah, he is.
He was, I believe, in the deleted scene of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Which may have made it into the Matt Smith book novelization of Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, he's already involved.
Yeah, definitely.
If this did happen, it probably wouldn't happen until the second season. But I just loved him so much. I would love to see Krennic pop up.
Yeah,
but not until like the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of do like what they did with Rogue One and connect it to Rogue One.
Well, it would be interesting to see what it'd be interesting to see what kind of cliffhangers are given to us at the end of this season, and then obviously at the end of the second season, which will be, a direct tie into Rogue One.
Yeah, because I read this was originally supposed to be 5 seasons, and then they cut it down to 2. So I believe that that's all we're going to get is this season and next season. That'll be it.
Yeah, but yeah, looking forward to it.
Me too.
Okay, any last thoughts?
It's the most rewatchable of the 4 live action, because even as much as I love Mandalorian, the only one that I have rewatched is episode 1 of season 1, and that was only to compare it to the first episode of Book of Boba Fett when we did our show. But other than that, I already watched the first episode of Andor 3 times. I saw it already for a 3rd time today. So that just goes to show that that's how much I love it. It is very rewatchable.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much there that even in this last episode, like Brad was saying, there's a lot of name drops. Watch it with the captions on too sometimes, because you can really miss some things if you don't watch it.
Yeah, I watch it with the captions right off the bat.
Yeah. Again, performances off the charts. Visuals off the charts. I don't mind, a cutaway or 2 of an AK-47. I don't give a shit.
Oh, you said shit.
I said shit.
Oh shit.
But
Ferret Row.
Dank Ferret. That's hilarious.
So stupid. So I'm extremely jealous of you guys, but I'm also very excited for you guys. I'm glad you guys will get to enjoy the rest of this season. Don't you dare spoil it for me, because I'll be binging it as soon as I get back.
Excellent.
Please be safe, Brad.
Please be safe, Brad.
We're gonna miss you so much.
I'm so glad that Ian kind of ruined your plans for not being here today. But thank you, Mother Nature. It's kind of odd, right? How many people are? A lot of destruction. And sorry.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're watching this in Florida, please be safe, and we hope that things start to. There's a lot of damage down there.
Yeah. Oh, it's bad, guys. It's really, really bad.
I got family down in Fort Myers, and that was pretty bad down there.
Charles and Pat.
Yeah. And by the way, if a couple weeks ago you guys want to pop, I haven't forgotten you. I just haven't had time to go over there and mail them off. You might be getting them for Christmas, but they are segregated from the rest of my collectibles, so they are safe. But whenever I can, those will get mailed out to you. But again, there might be a Christmas present.
Merry Christmas.
Haven't forgotten about you, just so you know.
Excellent.
That'd be a nice little
cool.
treat.
Thank you so much, guys. Everybody in the chat, you guys have been wonderful. Thanks for coming on in and giving us your hot takes and your hot cakes. Now I'm hungry. I need some pancakes. But thank you, guys. Next week, after Wednesday, the show airs Wednesday, right? Not Thursday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. We'll Chanty and I will take care of reviewing episode 5. Maybe we can get a guest. Maybe we can get Melanie on here.
Please.
Calm down.
No. My love for Melanie runs deep, and I'm not ashamed to say it.
Yes. But absolutely. Next week, another episode of Scarif Live. We are basically we're loving the show.
Mhm.
It's fantastic. It's great. Looks great. Not a lot of thumbs down elements on this show for us, anyways. So you heard our star ratings last week and this week. And big thanks to Stephen Kent for coming on and joining us. Oh, and speaking of which, earlier in the show when he was on, we noticed
Mhm.
that he had a wonderful little Yoda that I think he made.
Mhm.
And he gave me the link. If you guys are interested in finding out more information about those Yodas,
Cool.
let me pop that up because I'm going to get one. I think he's going to do some more characters, but livingstarwars.myshopify.com. Head on over there and see what he's got. But those that Yoda statuette that was behind him was really, really great. And I might actually get one.
Yeah.
Nice.
And read his book too. It'll make you feel good. Ro, you got a lot of volunteers for guest spots,
Okay.
so you shouldn't have a problem there.
Excellent. Yes. All right. This is Ro from the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast, Chanty and Jax. And Brad, again, like I said, be safe out there. Please extend our love to Amy and let her know that we are here for her if she needs anything.
I will do.
In your absence. I can't throw out the garbage because it'd be just too far. But if she needs anything, feel free to have her contact us. Brad, since you won't be able to join us for the next couple of months?
2 months.
2 months. Wow. Damn.
2 months.
Last words, and why don't you take us
words, jeez.
It's not. Yeah.
Good God.
I will be coming back, hopefully. I love all you guys. Enjoy the rest of Andor. It's going to be amazing. Have a great weekend, everybody. May the Force be with you. And that is the Scuttlebutt.